I swear I don't even know why I picked that damn motel. Maybe I was just too exhausted to care. It was one of those nameless places that barely exist on a map, just a flickering neon vacancy sign, a cracked parking lot, and a front desk clerk who looked like he'd been stuck there since the Reagan administration. I'd been on the road for hours, driving through the middle of nowhere, trying to put some distance between myself and, well, life, I guess. Just needed a break, a breather, a cheap bed where I could pass out for a few hours before hitting the road again. When I pulled up, the place looked abandoned except for 2 cars in the lot, one rusted-out sedan and an old truck with a busted taillight. No other guests, no noise, just the hum of a flickering streetlight and the wind rattling against the sign that barely held on above the office door. The clerk, a guy named Dale, at least that's what his stained name tag said, barely looked up when I walked in. His little TV was playing some old game show rerun, and he waved a pen in my direction like he was too tired to care if I checked in or not. Night or couple hours, he asked in a voice like he smoked 3 packs a day. Whole night, I said, sliding my credit card across the counter. Dale smirked, took the card, and ran it through the ancient register. Ain't had a full night guest in a while, he muttered, like that was supposed to be reassuring. The key he handed me was an actual metal key, attached to one of those big, plastic motel tags with the room number, 109. The plastic was cracked, and the number had been written over with a Sharpie. Great. I stepped back out into the night, feeling the weight of my own exhaustion settle in. The air smelled like rain, and the distant sound of a highway hummed low in the background. Room 109 was toward the end of the row, right near the last buzzing streetlight that barely lit the cracked pavement. I passed the rusted sedan on the way, and through the dirty windshield, I swore I saw something move in the back seat. Just a shift, like someone trying to stay low. I stopped for a second, but then told myself I was just tired. My brain playing tricks. I reached the door, shoved the key in, and pushed it open. The room smelled like old carpet and cigarette smoke, even though there was a faded, "No smoking" sticker peeling off the door. One lamp in the corner gave off a sickly yellow glow, and the bedspread looked like it hadn't been washed in weeks. Still, I wasn't here for luxury. Just sleep. I locked the door behind me, flipped the security latch, and kicked off my boots. The bathroom light flickered when I turned it on, revealing a chipped sink, a shower curtain with some weird stains, and a mirror that was so scratched up I could barely see my reflection. Whatever. I'd survived worse. I pulled the curtains closed, crawled into the stiff motel bed, and let out a long breath. My body ached from the drive, my eyes heavy, my thoughts already drifting towards sleep. Then, at exactly 2 a.m., the knocking started. Not on the front door. It came from inside the bathroom. At first, I thought I was dreaming. You know that half-asleep, half-awake state where your brain plays tricks on you? I told myself it was just a leftover sound from whatever dream I was having. But then it came again, 3 slow, deliberate knocks. From inside the bathroom. I sat up so fast I nearly fell off the bed. My pulse hammered in my ears. The room was dim, only the weak yellow lamp casting shadows on the walls. I stared at the bathroom door, my breath caught in my throat. The bathroom was empty. I'd just been in there. The only way in or out was through this room. There were no windows, no vents big enough for anything larger than a rat. So what the hell was knocking? I told myself it was the pipes. Old motels have weird plumbing. Maybe the pipes knocked when water pressure changed. Yeah, that had to be it. Then the knocking came again. 3 knocks. Slow. Measured. Like someone standing just behind the door, waiting. My skin crawled. I reached over and grabbed my phone from the nightstand. 2:03 a.m. No messages, no missed calls. Just me, a dead silent motel room, and a bathroom door that suddenly felt way too damn ominous. I forced a swallow down my dry throat and tried to laugh at myself. "Alright," I muttered, voice barely above a whisper. Let's not be a coward. I swung my legs over the bed and stood up, my bare feet sinking into the grimy carpet. The floor felt damp, like the humidity had soaked into it over years of neglect. I took slow steps toward the bathroom, my heart beat loud enough that I swore it echoed in my ears. Another knock. Closer this time. I froze. That wasn't possible. The sound hadn't just come from behind the door, it had come from the middle of the bathroom. Like something had stepped closer. I reached out, hesitated, then curled my fingers around the brass doorknob. It was ice cold. I twisted it. The door creaked open an inch. The bathroom light flickered weakly, casting long shadows across the cracked tiles. The shower curtain was pulled halfway closed, the folds of cheap vinyl swaying slightly, as if disturbed. I took a breath and pushed the door open all the way. Nothing. The room was empty. I let out a breath and ran a hand through my hair. Jesus Christ, I whispered. My own paranoia was going to kill me before anything else did. I reached for the faucet, twisting it on to splash some cold water on my face. The pipes groaned as the water sputtered out in uneven bursts. The mirror above the sink was still too scratched to see my reflection clearly. And then I noticed something. The shower curtain. When I walked in, it had been halfway open. Now, it was completely closed. My stomach dropped. I turned around slowly, my whole body tensing. The fabric of the curtain bulged outward, just slightly. Like someone was standing behind it. That I stood there, every muscle in my body locked tight. The shower curtain bulged outward, just slightly, like someone was standing behind it, trying not to breathe too loud. My mind scrambled for an explanation. Had it moved on its own? Was it just the air from the pipes shifting it? But no, the air in the bathroom was completely still. For a second, I thought about walking away. Just grabbing my bag, getting in my car, and leaving this whole place behind without looking back. But something about that curtain, it felt wrong. Like if I turned my back on it, it would shift. Or worse, something would step out. No. No way in hell. I reached out, heart pounding so hard it felt like it was shaking my ribcage. My fingers hovered just over the edge of the vinyl. I clenched my jaw, swallowed hard, and ripped it open. Nothing. The bathtub was empty. No footprints, no wet spots, just a grimy, rust-stained tub and a drain that smelled like mildew. I let out a breath that came out shakier than I wanted to admit. I felt stupid. Completely and utterly stupid. Here I was, middle of the night in a rundown motel, scaring myself over a damn shower curtain. The knocking. Pipes. The curtain. Probably just my tired brain playing tricks. I was exhausted, running on fumes, and creeping myself out for no reason. I shook my head, turned off the water, and backed out of the bathroom, making a point not to close the door all the way. I climbed back into bed, pulling the covers up to my chest, phone still clutched in my hand. 2:07 a.m. I told myself I was fine. It was nothing. Just my nerves. I don't know how long I lay there, staring at the ceiling, but at some point, my body forced me into an uneasy sleep. And then, sometime later, I woke up again. Because someone knocked on the front door. 3 slow, heavy knocks. My body locked up instantly. My brain was still groggy, my senses slow to catch up, but my heart knew something was wrong. I reached for my phone. The screen lit up. 2:54 a.m. The knocking came again. 3 knocks. Louder this time. I swallowed hard and turned my head toward the door. The peephole was just a few feet away. If I leaned over, I could look through it, see who was standing outside. But every instinct in my body screamed at me not to do it. I gripped my phone tighter. My thumb hovered over the emergency dial button. Then, the doorknob rattled. Someone was trying to open it, the doorknob rattled again, slow, deliberate. Not frantic. Not like someone who was lost or confused. Like someone who was testing it. My whole body tensed. My mind scrambled for an explanation, but nothing made sense. Who the hell tries to open a locked motel door in the middle of the night? I sat up slowly, trying not to make a sound. The old mattress creaked under my weight, and I winced, freezing in place. The rattling stopped. I held my breath. The room felt suffocatingly quiet. Then, 3 knocks. My stomach twisted. Exactly like before. Same rhythm, same weight behind them. I glanced at my phone again. 2:55 a.m. My thumb hovered over the emergency dial screen. But I hesitated. What would I even say? Hey, someone knocked on my door. I don't know who it is. No, I didn't check. No, they haven't broken in. Yeah, I'll hold while you finish dealing with actual emergencies. I clenched my jaw, slowly lowering the phone. I needed to see who was out there. I didn't want to, but I knew I had to. I swung my legs over the bed, moved toward the door, every step feeling heavier than the last. The peephole was just above my eye level. I hesitated, breath shallow, heart hammering so hard I thought it might shake the floor beneath me. I leaned in. And then I stopped. Something was blocking the peephole. Not completely. Just enough that I could tell there was a shape on the other side. Someone was standing directly in front of the door, covering the peephole just enough to keep me from getting a clear view. I felt a cold sweat break out along the back of my neck. I took a slow step back. Then another. The knocking came again. 3 sharp raps. Harder this time. I swallowed. My throat felt dry, like sandpaper. Who's there? I finally forced out. Silence. I tried again, voice barely above a whisper. Hello? Nothing. I was sweating now. My heart pounded in my chest. Something about the way they knocked, the slow, methodical rhythm, it wasn't normal. It wasn't someone making a mistake or looking for the wrong room. It was intentional. I backed up until I hit the far wall, keeping my eyes locked on the door. I had the sudden, horrible thought that if I blinked, something would change. That maybe, if I looked away for even a second, the lock would turn. Then, just as suddenly as it started, the knocking stopped. I didn't move. I barely even breathed. I just waited. 1 minute passed. Then 2. Then 5. I don't know how long I stood there, staring at the door, waiting for something else to happen. But nothing did. No footsteps. No fading presence. Just silence. I waited another few minutes before finally forcing myself to move. My limbs felt stiff, like I had been frozen in place for hours. I crept forward and pressed my ear to the door, straining to hear anything. Nothing. My heart was still hammering, but I told myself it was over. Maybe some drunk guy mistook my room for his. Maybe it was just some creep messing with me. Either way, they were gone. I exhaled, shakily, and turned back toward the bed. I needed to get some sleep. I had barely taken 2 steps when a sound made me stop cold. The bathroom door creaked open that I froze. The sound was soft, almost delicate, the quiet groan of old hinges, the whisper of air moving past a slowly opening door. The bathroom door. I turned my head slowly, my entire body locked in place. The light inside was dim, flickering slightly, casting strange, jerking shadows along the walls. The door had been half open before. Now it was wider. Just enough that I couldn't see what was behind it. My breath caught in my throat. I hadn't heard footsteps. I hadn't heard movement. But somehow, the door had moved. I forced myself to listen. The room was dead silent. No breathing. No shifting fabric. No weight pressing down on the carpet. But I wasn't alone. I could feel it. The air had changed, heavy and wrong. My body knew before my mind did, something was inside the room with me. Something that had been there this entire time, waiting for the right moment. My hand gripped my phone so tightly my knuckles ached. I thought about calling the police. But what the hell would I say? That I was scared? That a bathroom door moved on its own? No. I needed to get out. I took a step toward my bag. It was near the foot of the bed, half-zipped, my car keys somewhere inside. My shoes were next to it, untied. I just needed to grab them and... A sound stopped me cold. A whisper. Not words. Not a voice I recognized. Just the sound of breath. Soft. Wet. Right behind me. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. Every instinct in my body screamed at me not to look. I took another step forward, reaching for my bag. My fingers brushed against the fabric. The bathroom light flickered violently. Then it went out. The room was plunged into darkness. I stopped breathing. My body locked up completely. The only light now was the weak yellow glow from the bedside lamp, casting just enough illumination to see the shape. The shape standing in the bathroom doorway. It wasn't fully formed. Not at first. Just a shadow, deeper than the rest, stretching out of the darkness like it didn't belong to this world. Then it moved. Not walking. Not stepping. Sliding. Toward me. The air turned freezing. The smell of something rotting filled my nose. My entire body screamed at me to run. But before I could move, I heard it. A whisper. So close it might as well have been in my ear. A single word. Stay. I ran that I bolted. I didn't think. I didn't grab my bag. I didn't check behind me. I just ran for the door, my heartbeat thundering in my ears. My fingers fumbled with the lock, shaking so violently I could barely grip it. Behind me, the air shifted. The darkness moved. I didn't dare turn around. I didn't want to see what was there. My hand found the lock. I twisted it, click. The doorknob wouldn't budge. What? I yanked on it. Harder. Nothing. It was like the door had fused to the frame, like something on the other side was holding it shut. Behind me, the whispering started again. Soft at first. Faint. A murmur in the dark, brushing against my ears like cold breath. Then, closer. Right behind me. I slammed my fist against the door. Help. Someone help me. The motel was empty. I knew that. No other cars in the lot, no sounds from the rooms next door. But I was desperate. The whispering grew. Not one voice. Many. I felt it then, something pressing against my back. Not a hand. A presence. Heavy. Cold. Not touching me, but close enough that my skin broke out in a wave of goosebumps. My breath hitched. My fingers clawed at the doorframe. I could feel my body locking up, like something wanted me to turn around. Like it was pulling at me, urging me to see it. I clenched my jaw. No. I wasn't going to look. I threw my shoulder into the door, slamming against it with all my weight. The wood groaned, the frame rattled, but the door held. Then. The whispers stopped. Silence. The air was thick, heavy, pressing down on my lungs. I could feel my pulse hammering in my throat, the blood rushing in my ears. And then. The bathroom door slammed shut. Bang. The sound was so loud it shook the walls. The lamp flickered wildly, buzzing with static. I felt it before I saw it, the presence in the room vanishing. The weight lifted. The air warmed. And just like that, the door unlocked. The knob turned easily beneath my shaking fingers. I stumbled forward, nearly falling out into the hallway. The second I crossed the threshold, a wave of nausea hit me so hard I had to grip the railing outside to steady myself. The air smelled different out here. Not like mildew and rot. Like fresh air. Like escape. I turned back toward the room, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The door was still open. The bathroom door was closed. Nothing looked out of place. But I knew something had been in there with me. Something that didn't want me to leave. I forced myself to take a step backward, my body screaming at me to put as much distance as possible between me and that room. I didn't grab my things. I didn't care. I just wanted to be gone. I turned and ran toward the parking lot. And that's when I saw it. Every single door in the motel had been left open that I stopped in my tracks, my stomach twisting into a tight, painful knot. Every single door in the motel was wide open. They hadn't been like that before. I was sure of it. When I pulled into the lot earlier that night, the place looked abandoned, the doors shut tight, the windows dark. But now they were all standing open, gaping into the night like rows of hollow mouths. A cold, nauseating dread slithered up my spine. I forced myself to move, stumbling toward my car. My legs felt weak, my body drained, like I'd just barely escaped drowning. I fumbled my keys out of my pocket, my fingers still shaking so hard I could barely grip them. I glanced over my shoulder. The motel stood completely still. No movement. No figures. No shifting shadows. Just an endless row of empty rooms, doors yawning open, revealing nothing but darkness inside. I didn't care. I needed to get out. I yanked open my car door and threw myself into the driver's seat. The instant I was inside, I locked the doors, jammed the key into the ignition, and turned it. The engine roared to life. I threw the car into reverse, tires screeching against the cracked pavement as I whipped out of the lot. My breath was coming in sharp, uneven gasps, my pulse hammering so fast I thought I might pass out. I didn't look back. Not until I was almost a mile down the road, streetlights flickering past me in blurred streaks. Only then did I glance up at my rearview mirror. The motel was completely dark. Doors closed. Like nothing had ever happened. My hands tightened around the steering wheel, my knuckles bone white. A sick, twisting sensation coiled in my gut. Had I imagined it? Had I really seen those doors standing open? No. No, I hadn't imagined anything. The whispers. The presence. The way the door wouldn't open until it wanted me to leave. That was all real. I didn't stop driving until I reached the next town. I pulled into a gas station, parked under the harsh fluorescent lights, and just sat there, trying to calm my breathing. My whole body was tense, coiled tight like a wound spring. I took my phone out. Thought about calling someone. Telling someone. But what would I even say? Hey, I stayed in this creepy motel and something was in my room. And then all the doors were open. But now they're not. Cool story, right? No. No one would believe me. I stared down at my phone. My battery was low, 2% left. I unlocked the screen, swiping to my recent calls. And then I saw it. A call had been made from my phone. At 2:54 a.m. Exactly when the knocking started. I felt the blood drain from my face. My stomach turned to ice. I opened the call log, my breath catching in my throat. No number. No contact name. Just one word in the call history, standing out against the dim screen. Answered. I never made a call. I never answered a call. But at 2:54 a.m., someone did.